So I'm back working on the motor grader today. We've got seals coming in for stuff. We've got some stuff replaced already, but we're waiting on some seals and bearings. But we do have the new wheel cylinders for the two front rear drive axles on this thing, and it's been a chore thus far. Just getting the wheel off, just getting the damn cotter pin out of this. You know, as you can see, a bunch of these studs ended up coming out with it. And I mean, again, this was only possible because of Freeall. Still waiting on a sponsorship. But I know this gets pulled off with a puller, which we obviously don't have. But what I did have was a couple of our D7 old tracks sitting around, and we had just gone and picked up these, well, 3 of these 7/8 by 10-inch long grade 8 bolts to replace the ones that go down and hold the front circle reverse support deal. So yeah, the holes actually here, these bottom two, they were right. They just need to be a little bit larger in diameter past these bolts through. And I tried drilling these tracks, and I was not having it. So I ended up taking my plasma to it, and I mean, that plasma cutter is, I don't know, it's like $600 from Harbor Freight, like, I don't know, 10 years ago. Still working great, but you know, it's not the best. But torch the holes a little bit bigger. These were actually part of this track system. These were for the rock guard cover for the rollers that we ended up taking off because we don't have rocks out here, and you know, we don't want it with sand. It just kind of holds it in. But the next thing was, what am I going to get to push this with? Well, again, on the circle reverse, we had a 1.25 inch diameter by 12, you know, fine pitch bolt that ended up torching a hole in. I got my son to head down to West Sac to go pick up a couple nuts for it, and he actually found a bolt, another grade 8. I'm sure this thing's WABCO, but I don't know what grade it is. So we're gonna get a grade 8, and I had a grade 8, but it's coarse thread. And when, you know, making a puller out of this and get more torque out of a fine thread, at least I don't want to get into it. I mean, I still sound like the idiot that I really am. But what we're going to do is just get a bolt with some washers, lubed up, both sides. I'll probably end up welding the nut once it's threaded on and happy. I'll just weld it onto the plate. And for now, I have it, and here's why. I have it flipped in this direction right now with the cleat, the grouser, inward, because, well, I think steel is generally stronger in tension than compression, and that's, you know, we can argue grades and material type, this and that, but I could always flip it around. But I want to try it this way, and what I've kind of thought about doing, because there's already a piloted center hole in there. What I wanted to do, and I have it here somewhere, was put a ball bearing in there and run the nut, you know, put a little countersink in that, run a nut on there, so we're not maybe going to damage the threads, hopefully. But then, you know, we got this damn cotter pin hole, and, you know, I don't know how much force it's going to take to get this off, but judging by just the wheels and everything else, it's going to be a real treat. So I've actually found, again, Cummins injector tappet or follower, that's close, but, you know, it's hardened. And then I've got some drill index deals that fit better, hardened. But then again, I don't know if I want to fight a hardened one. So I'm just going to stick that bolt in there and just see, you know, if it does get stuck, at least I can pound it out. And we could think of something else, maybe stuff in there. I hope I don't need to run, I mean, the nut's fine, but I'm hoping the pressure is not going to mushroom out this thread any. without the nut on it. We'll see. I might need to put the nut on it, in which case I'm going to flip this around. But yeah, I got my son coming back with nuts, another bolt, which is 3.5 inches long. This one's just over 3.5, but it's kind of what we could find. In pretty much all of Sacramento, it's available. Oh, there's my ball. So yeah, ball bearing, and then if that's putting too much pressure in the center, and we could upgrade to a roller bearing puck piece and try pushing. So we're gonna give this a go. I do have my oxy torch in case I need to heat this up, because from what I understand, this is a tapered shaft inside of here. I don't know. Well, yeah, the whole shaft rolls with it. So shouldn't have bearings here. The bearings should be all in this section. But got to get this off to get the brakes exposed. I do know from the manual that there's going to be an arrow on the back side of these. They should face in, and that's kind of the compressed state of the brakes. If they're compressed out real bad and there's a ridge here, that's going to be a bad deal. It's going to be a situation. The manual does not, the manuals that we have and that I could find, they all talk about this, but it says refer to the yada 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 -12 manual. You find the -12 manual, it's a lube order manual, and it's not there. So I don't know if it was a misprint, but between the parts manual where I could see the breakdown of this, and then the technical manual that just says, hey, refer to this to remove this to get to this. I don't know. It's essentially it's a big drum brake, so I don't think it's going to be too complicating. It's just going to be probably stuck. This thing probably has been rebuilt, serviced at least one time in its life from the depot. But since then, this thing's, I couldn't believe it when I got all these bolts off, got the little capture plates off. I ran where is it? It's here somewhere. Anyway, ran a little hacksaw blade all the way around from here to here. So it was just this back bit of shmoo, up in here rusted to it. I had to end up getting the porter power behind here and pushing on it, and it would crack, but it wouldn't really go, and it was a nightmare. Finally got it off, and what may end up happening if I cannot get enough turn with enough force on it this way, I could flip this thing around, and then I do have a torque multiplier wrench for just such a situation, so we could give that a go. But if it starts creaking and popping and just sounding kind of gnarly, we may have to for safety's sake, pull spacers out, get this back, maybe get a one of the hydraulic pucks that'll fit in there, and then maybe give that a go, because that hand multiplier, I don't know what it's capable of. More than a 6-foot breaker with me standing on it, and that's by hand just turning it. So I'm a little bit scared. I know this is some sort of abrasive resistant hardened deal. It's not going to flex. If this thing's going to give, it's going to snap, and that's dangerous. We're probably going to end up wrapping this in, I don't know, whatever we can find, in case something does pop. Hopefully she just walks off of there. I'm not planning on that though, but I'm going to get these all loosened up here, spray some. Oh, what the hell's the matter with this cap? Spray tip. But yeah, I'm gonna work on getting this kind of set up. Wait for my boy to get back again, and I end up putting nuts on both sides, welding those in place, and greasing everything. And I'll come back when we're ready. Okay, we were kind of set up. Loosen the brakes. They're loose. Got everything greased up. I'm gonna start prying on this. a minute ago to see how everything was going to work. I got some tension on it, nothing budged. So back up. We all learned today. So I have a mark here on the drum shield or inner shield, the backing plate, so I can see if it's pulling at all. So far, we got nothing. I hope this track does not bust, but if it does, I think it's going to bust in the middle. I want to say it can't. It could definitely break. You do it a few tappy taps. This is a brass hammer. That's dangerous because I've got nothing to stop this from sliding all the way forward except this to stop it. My hand's in there and that thing pops. Could be something. How terrified I am is not coming through in the video, I hope. So what is this bar? I'm just gonna guess here. So we've got London on the trip, so 3 foot, and I'm putting at least 100 pounds, so 300 foot-pounds. Which I do, you know what, I do have my torque wrench and my torque multiplier wrench, well, torque multiplying bar that I used for the excavator swing motor. And I was just eyeballing it, but see, I can get more on this. I haven't had to stand on it yet or give it any personal ugga-duggas. Ooh. Hear that creak? So I was putting at least 150 on that. 150 times 3, 450. Rough, somewhere 500 foot-poundish. And again, we just have a little ball bearing in there making contact, so I think that thing might end up crushing. So we got this scatter shield. It doesn't look like we're getting any separation, like it's not doing anything yet. I'm not ready to the hub at the same time. I don't know if these threads are going to take on this, and these bolts, there's 7/8. And in the manual, it may say it gets heated. I don't know. I should have that manual. I have to put some real. Oh, that's a lot. 600 foot-pounds ish. Fuck. I'm scared to get close to beat on it. I know. I'm sissy, but it's...
Why don't you grab a sledge? Because it's not...
got all my phalanges thus far. I'm trying to be careful around shit like this. She looks good. I'm getting real nervous.
Second rag's needed.
I need a blast shield.
Okay.
Huh?
Huh?
You hear the creaking, right? I don't see the plate warp. Ooh, maybe I do. Come back here and look at this plate. Is it starting to warp?
No,
You filming the ground?
I'm filming a plate.
Let's see.
It might be a little bit, but not by much.
Yeah, I think it might be enough.
That's just a tiny bit, though.
Well, that plate is hardened steel. That's a track for a bulldozer. Just a film over there doing this bullshit. But that thing is not going to bend. It will snap. That's what I'm worried. That's what I'm afraid of. I mean, I just want to see, or maybe a foot if it's starting to bow. Maybe just, it is starting to bow. Oh man. I have some thicker plate than that, but
Gotta drill a hole in it.
I'd have to drill all new holes, and I know it's like the same grade of steel as this. It's just thicker, and it doesn't have a rib. It's just a flat plate, but it's double the thickness of this. Shit. All right, this is oh, something's creaking. I kind of want to stick a straight edge in there just so I can snap with my hands back here, just to see if she gets real pissy. We need to add shrapnel to this situation. Man, it looks like it's bone bad from out here. Maybe not from the outside.
The inside looks a lot better than the outside.
Yeah. Which the outside gets wear, so. And the center of the, yeah. I think it sits along the track on the bulldozer. Oh man. Oh. Something has to, something. Oh my God. It's not moving.
No, it hasn't moved yet.
And now the plate's bowing like this, right? Like the bolt going in is like this now, right?
I mean, kinda.
Yeah.
That's not what it was before, though.
No, she was straighter than that. All right. Holy mother of God. Oh, that's so much. Oh, that scared me. All right, well, we're gonna have to think of something else. You can go ahead and turn that off. Okay, we reset the washers. Were kind of kicked into the hole, and now I've got this piece of keyway magnetized on there till I can see if the plate's bowing. But so far, we've got some more torque on it, and the bolt-to-bolt action is looking happier. I need to do a cigarette. Oh. Swap the rubber mallet. So I'm a little more booted. Still don't want to go absolute crazy on it yet. Again, I still haven't tried heat. We may get to that point. There's only so much pressure I'm willing to put on these studs. Huh? Did it move? I don't think so. The bolt still looks like it's orientated straight. It might be coming in this way a little bit. See if I can get another turn on it.
Tire down.
Tire down. Still absolutely terrified. Let me make sure that these are not. No, see, they're not binding on the brake shoes. Okay. Oh, she's pissing. The bolt's coming out of alignment. It's from down here now. It's kind of, I don't know. It's not happy about this. Plate's not bending yet. Well, pretty soon we're going to bend the
Pipe.
not the pipe, the bar of the pipes over. Ooh. Plate still looks alright. The bolt is it's the same. But what's happening is the washers are sinking into that fucking hole again. We're deforming the washers. Okay. And I think what I need is to sink the top bolt, the one closest to you. It needs to go in about another thread to pitch everything straighter. But I need a better, thicker flat washer to go across that hole because we're sinking washers into it.
You think a lot of that size of ace?
Huh?
Think they'll have that size at Ace?
I can't hear you, fan.
Think you have that? They have that size at Ace?
No, hell no. No, we'll probably just have to take a piece of steel and drill it. Cause I don't know. Nothing's creaking. I kind of want to give it one more, see what happens. Don't look at it. Oh, God. They ain't doing nothing. The plate's not deforming yet. I mean, fuck, it looks like it is. It really looks bent, but that inside piece of keyway material is still straight. There's no gap on it. And that's on the top. The bottom I know can't bend because of that rib on the grouser, but God, she was not like this. Bingo! And that right there is how we're going to do it. Yeah! That's that ivory. Thank you, Lord. Where there's a Wells, there's a fucking way. What do I tell you, Wade? Oh, that thing is pissed off. Where's our ball? That ball is now structural. She's part of this whole situation. Part of the assembly. Don't forget about it. That might have hit popping out. There we go. Let's take a look at this ball bearing. Because I know you said, oh, we probably crushed it. Barely put scratches in it. Almost feel them with your fingernail. So that's why bearings are what they are and why they do the job they do. It's because they're that fucking hard. This whole deal worked out. You can see this is a grade 8 bolt. See the little nubbin that ball put in it from that pressure? So, how much does this weigh?
Yep.
Yep. You're right. Pretty smart, Wade. Pretty far smelling. Oh God, yeah, this does weigh all of it. Looking at it, first little peek at the inside. We've got plenty of shoe. Plenty of shoe. I don't know how contaminated it is or if it's all cracked up and shit. I don't know how much farther this has to come off before it's gonna drop. That's gonna be an ordeal. I kind of want to get the floor jack underneath it. What do you think?
You can do that.
Can we? Alright, you can go ahead and stop video. Alright, so we got it off, and this thing was just completely caked up in grease everywhere. I'm not sure how grease got into here. There's no Zerk fitting to put grease into this thing. I'm gonna check the manual to see if maybe this is a pre-lubricated deal in here. I don't think so. This should be a bearing housing, and it should take oil from this oil bath that's in here. This whole case takes, I can't remember, gallons of oil in here to lubricate the chain, and I believe these bearings and hubs. But inside the drum, you could see that it looks like grease was coming from inside this housing, coming out and just soaking everything in grease. There's grease all over the pads. You can see there's plenty of thickness on them, but they're slightly contaminated. So we're gonna get all this shit cleaned up. It's gonna take a while. We're gonna get this side all cleaned up, replace this wheel cylinder. I've got new ones. We'll get them in while it's off. We'll check. I'm gonna check out and see what's going on with this. But I'm gonna pressure wash this whole hub, get all this grease, all of it out of here, get it nice and dry. I don't feel a huge lip on here, but as you can see on the back, or just keep filming the front, I'm gonna grab my crescent. So this should be an eccentric, so turning these back deals that I was turning, see how it's moving the brake around? Look at this orientation. See what it's doing? So this is the adjustment, and what would happen if these were adjusted, let's say all the way out, which is there, and this lip in here was more pronounced, it would get caught and you would never be able to physically get it off, because the brakes physically go way back into the backside of this housing, so you can't really get into there to release them. So when doing stuff like this, make sure your brakes are released. There is a star wheel adjuster down here to open and close or adjust the bottom and keep it in adjustment. Looks like there's an access plate from the back. So if this would have got stuck and this, let's say the bottom was hanging up, that's when you go through the back side of this. Remember when you did on your truck, there's a little window there. So you come in with a screwdriver, push this up and out of the way, because you need to rotate the teeth back this way to release this. And oh my God, I could do it by hand. I thought for sure this was gonna be all rusted up, but there's enough grease in here, it kept everything lubed, huh? The other thing we noticed was on the shaft, the tapered shaft, there's some rust and some shit on it, so we're gonna knock some of the highs down. Can't do anything with the lows, but get some of these highs knocked down. The inside of the hub, oh, look at that damage there. She's a little scarred up, but it's not really going to make a difference. After this is smooth, we'll hone that out a bit, get rid of any highs, and it should slide on there and lock on pretty good. So that's it. We're going to take lunch, and we'll be back with clean components ready to go together. All right, so we got everything cleaned up, got all the old grease and shit out of there, and turns out there is a grease fitting in here. It has just been over greased for the center hub and pushed out that seal there. I've got a way to seal that up, so that'll go on, but replaced all the little cotter pins and whatnot. I didn't want to clip them, I just rolled everything over, but everything's good there. Needs to be blown out now, but the inside of the drum's nice and cleaned out. Got all the, the oil soaked layer off these pads, and just kind of went at it with a wire brush first, heated them up a little bit with a torch so it boils some of that oil to the top, because this asbestos shit, that ain't gonna burn. But didn't want to cook it, but heated it up so you could see, some spots were still kind of a little bit bubbly, so hit them. And of course I've touched it with my dirty hands installing it, so probably wipe that off. But did that a couple times, and then finally found that no more oil was coming up through it, so they should be good to go. A lot better than they were anyway. So I'm gonna get this stab back together as soon as my son gets here, so he can help me lift this thing up, or to get it onto the transmission jack, we'll jack it up and slide it on. But that's it. This is standard drum brake stuff, and it's not a heavy duty one. This thing's probably as old as this tractor, but it's my grandpa's, or one I got from my mom. My son actually saw this a couple days ago, and he was asking like, hey, what you know, what the hell? Hey, Earl, what the hell is this? I said, that's a 700 bucker. If you don't get the reference, search it. But, you know, these things are still gold. So, you know, he was over there cleaning the drum, and then this was just sitting over here. I found it, you know, just walking by. I said, oh, perfect. I was actually looking for my long needle nose, but found this. Said, hey, Wade, come here. You know, hey, remember I asked him what this does? So I, you know, showed him everything. This is a little guy. Get on there, and you know, you spin it to take it off, and then to get it back on. That little hook in that guy, you just send it over, get it on. To get springs like this off, you know, you hook that end in there, find a good rivet or another good pinch point, pull everything off. So, you know, if you could fix your old 70s pickup, you know, drum brakes, shit, you're a heavy equipment mechanic, certified. So, again, replace the wheel cylinder. As I squished the other one in, it did leak out this side cup. So it was definitely leaking. That, and then the hard line that went back, trying to spin it off the fitting that goes in here, that was not happening. It was just bound to the, you know, the nut was just bound to the pipe, essentially, the hose, the tube, whatever you want to call it. So I had Wade go and pick up another 3 foot length of hard line, so we can get that swapped out. I'd love to go in here and swap a few of these out just for peace of mind. But the fluid that came out was nice and clear. The tube that we took off of here, it wasn't nasty inside. Just, you know, the outside was just nice and rusted. That and the banjo bolt, the head identified now as a 3-point head. That thing was so mangled. So that and the had him go and pick me up some new mounting nuts, just because these are not the greatest. So found what we needed, got him in. He had to run out to Capital Clutch and Brake in West Sac to go get the banjo bolts and the lines, so he should be back pretty soon. So in the meantime, I've got time to clean up all this mess. I'm not going to. I'm gonna find a different fucking project. So yeah, that's where we're at. We'll be back once we get it on there. And she's back on. My son showed up. He dropped off the parts I needed, and then he had to go. I forgot my wife's got a doctor's appointment today, so he had to go pick up his brother from school. So he brought me back a new hardline, the new banjo, but you know, he had to run out to Capital Clutch and Brake. If you need it, there he is. And they apparently, and I don't know how much of this I believe, but apparently they do not make this shouldered type banjo anymore. And what they have now is this style without the shoulder, and they do not fit in these guys. So he was able to get us new Y blocks, banjo blocks, whatever you want to call them, and got those all put in. So got new hardware. Got the wheel back on, got the hub back on, had to adjust the shoes to where they're even all the way around the drum with some feeler gauges. But we do have a couple studs that we've got to order. There's 3 on this side that need to be changed, and I imagine on the other side there's going to be a few. So we're going to get those. I got to get another big cotter pin to go through there, but she's back on. And as soon as I get some help, I'll end up bleeding the brakes back on this thing. She should be good to stop, to go and stop. She will go. Just need to get all these other seals and shit in. I know it looks like a mess. You're going, how the hell do you know where anything goes? I don't. It's all pretty straightforward. Once you get back into it, you remember what came off of where, what goes where, and worst comes to worst, I do have the manual, so not worried about it. She'll go back together. But that's it. That's it for the brakes. I'm got to do the other side. No sense in showing any of that. It's all going to be the same, give or take, more or less rusted, broken shit. Hopefully all the hardware on the other side is good. Hopefully the shoes are at least as good as these were. You know, contaminated, you know, into the shoe a little bit. It's fine. They're thick enough that we were able to sand a bunch of that shit off of there, like I said in the a few minutes ago. So she'll dial, she'll stop, she'll work, and that's it.